Yes, I'm plastering in slippers. And he's there. It looks like he's just got change come out the shower. Absolutely spotless. Whereas there's me, it looks like I've just had a mud fight. Hey folks, today you join me on the top floor. We're going to be looking at turning this cupboard into a usable bonus toilet for this top floor space. So stick around and we'll get started. Now, depending on how long you've been watching the channel, you might recognise this cupboard. It used to be where we chucked everything in whilst we did the loft conversion. It's fully insulated, like we did with the whole roof, but I've only just got to a point where I can get some plasterboard up and get the whole thing skimmed. Now, a couple of things that have been stalling that. We couldn't do it until we had a soil pipe put in, and I did that at the same time as we had the scaffolding up last winter. Of course, another stumbling block is we've got to put an extractor fan in, so that's what that hole is there. Has to be that height because there's a big purlin that runs along the other side there, and we did that last winter as well, so there's a great big core taking out the stonework at the other end with a vent on it. Now, we have had a few viewings on the house already. I wanted this to look relatively presentable so it wasn't hard to picture what it was. We've not marketed it as having the toilet up here, so in actual fact it's a bonus. And then the last little hang up was the electrics. There's a fuse spur the other side of this wall that was put in ready when the top floor wiring was done. So we've come off that, and we've obviously just got to get wiring for a light and the extractor fan, so that's all been put in. So now there's no excuses, I've got to get on and plaster. Also, if you haven't watched this channel before, you won't know that I am a very, very amateur plasterer, and I don't really take on anything that's not a cupboard or a small section of walling. Even this, although it's small, we've got, you know, lots of intersections, sloping ceilings, and I'm going to struggle, but I've got to get it done. In an ideal world, you wouldn't have a skimmed wall, and I would have been able to just scrim this ready. I'm now going to have to seal this plaster for the new bit to take onto it. Right, let's get our first coat on this wall. All the screws are in. Right, I'm not sure where the camera dropped out, but I've managed to get the first coat on here. We'll trial it up a little bit in a minute. But I've, got the bulk of the material on. I'm actually going to go ahead, rightly or wrongly, get this one done as well, just simply because I've got the mix made up, and it's the easiest one to do, I think, and then I can concentrate on doing this as one afterwards. Alright, I've had a bite to eat. This is all firmed up enough, and just brought up a pointed trowel just so I can get right up into that corner, just to make sure that we haven't missed anything on this set. So once again, not in any way in a position to be talking about technique here. However, he says, one thing I normally do is just not, I used to try and get things too perfect at every stage. You don't need that first coat that's gone on to be perfectly smooth. You need to get it on flat, and then you can trial it off, make sure you've got no hollows, no big bumps. It's this second coat that we get on, now that this is firmed up, that is where we want to, spend a bit more time and care about it. So at this point, it is what it is. It's kind of just acting as a flat backing coat, I guess. You can always tell a good plasterer from a bad one because of how clean they are. Sometimes when I'm doing photos on site, commercial sites, there'll be a really decent plasterer and he's there. It looks like he's just just got change come out the shower. Absolutely spotless. Whereas there's me, it looks like I've just had a mud fight. It's all about getting the consistency of the plaster right, loading the trowel right, all the things I just cannot do. It's a little bit like bad welding. A grinder can make anyone look half decent, and with plastering, a bit of easy fill on a sander. And once you're painted, it's not too bad, but we're not going to be doing polished Venetian plasters anytime soon. Well, I think we just about got away with it. That corner's worked out fine. Just brushing it in with a wet brush, troweling it away, and I think it's about 90% of the way there. Nice and smooth. I'm not going to polish it up too much. It's not really that forgiving to the paint. You know, the paint needs something to take to. It's smooth, that's what's important. We don't really want to just be dry troweling it until it's super shiny. Not the best for filming in here, but hopefully you can make out that it's looking okay. Right, that's how we're looking inside. Hopefully the light's okay. This is the wall we did last week. Oh, and this one. Pretty pleased with how that's come out. When you're looking into the light, you can pick up there's a few little bits just where the dry trowel caught there, but nothing that won't rub back. I had a bit of masking tape on the door trim, so that's all clean. Give it another wipe down before we paint. And this is that corner where we did wet on wet, which wasn't ideal, but actually it's alright, it's come out okay. So now we've got to do this section here and just feather in the top section of this side wall. Oh, what an awkward mess. That's not a good look for the phone. It's just so f***ing awkward. Up top here, the light's probably not. It's such a tight angle. This is done already. But getting up in there and then troweling it backwards, and then of course the cable coming down there. Anyway, the rest of it is looking fine. So I'm just gonna do this last corner here, just using an old brush, just to get a bit of water in there to clean it up, make sure it's hiding. But you can see I'm just making sure that I can get a nice, neat corner. And any drips that have hit this and dried, they just scrape straight off. Okay, well we're finally back on our little bathroom project. It's been a few days, and as you can see everything is nice and dry in here. It's always patchy to look at, but actually it's not as bad as I'd feared. Right, first job is to clear all the gear out. My first job then is to get a mist coat on this wall. Once I've given it a bit of a rub back, and that I've just watered down some simple contract matte just to kind of give us that base, and then we can probably at that point see if we've got to do a bit of filling and rubbing back. Right, everything's had a good rub back now. Just wiped off any of the loose stuff, so we'll vacuum down as well. But once this first coat's on, we can really see how well we did. Before someone mentions it, no, I didn't fancy spraying in here. So I think the general smoothness is actually fine. There's only a few little bits where I've just caught the trowel on a corner, which we'll fill. Right, I've got another hour to spend on our bathroom here, or toilet. I've got 2 coats of mist coat on now, just because I already had it mixed up. So that gave me a good basis to get a nice flat finish on the wall. Then I could pick up on any of the bits which were below par with my plastering. I've gone back over, I didn't have to sand too much off, but any of the little bits where my trowel had caught, I've gone in and just put a thin skim of filler, dried, sanded, and now we're ready to go. And I'm just going to leave this white because it's going to be a simple bright room. I'm keeping it white and matte. There's no like shower or bath or anything to worry about, and to be quite honest, the new owners of the house will be able to decorate it how they see fit. So I'm treating it a bit like a new build and just leaving it white. Well, there we go. That was 12 minutes of me messing around in a cupboard, but eventually it is done. Nice blank canvas. The doors had a short back and side, so that is now fitting a little bit better. The electrician's coming back to do second fix very shortly, and then hopefully we can get everything plumbed in and call that project done.